So we want to discuss the state of security with regards to that. And in the studio, I'm joined by, on my immediate left, I'm joined by Jules Delahaye. He's the CEO of SGA Security. Next to him is Enoch Makalia. He's a counterterrorism security expert to have this conversation. Thank you both for making time and coming on the show today.
You're welcome.
Right, I want us to start off with what we've seen recently, what the government did a few days ago, where the government launched a mandatory security vetting and training for all bodyguards, bouncers, and everybody involved in security. Are we taking the right step in terms of the safety and security of the country?
If you ask me,
yes, of course, we're starting with you.
Yeah, I think so. A lot has happened. I think one of the big things we have learned from Dusit is that we have to stay alert and keep on improving on security. And basically, one step, this announcement on training is part of a much larger program. It started with the licensing, the regulatory authority, PSRA. So not only looking at training is one part of that total picture. I think it's good to have a framework. Still, there is a lot of room for improvement. The fact that we call for training, a lot of companies are organizing the training themselves. And actually, sadly enough, many companies even don't provide any training at all. And I think from that perspective, it is a good initiative. Still, as I said, room for improvement, but I think it's very important. The larger companies, amongst ourselves, we provide our own training. We do recruitment, vetting, training programs very extensively, and not only, let's say, when they start, but also frequently, every time, based on the assignments. We have frequent trainings, at least twice a year. So this is a good initiative, you know, for all the parties, but it has quite some challenges as well, I think.
Right.
But anyway.
Enoch, coming to you, I mean, you've been in the security sector for a long time. You understand this better. Yeah. What do you think of this move by the government?
I think the government has done a good job as far as countering terrorism is concerned. In the rate of 10 to 1, I can give them 8. People might not know what the government is doing, especially in terms of putting in place very good units that are properly trained on countering terrorism. And I think the teams that have been put in place by the government have done an excellent job. You know, one thing that the media must know, that there are some things the government cannot keep on announcing, especially like intelligence, what they found out, what they are following up, and how they are countering who have been attacked. So the government has done a very good job. And if you look at what happened at Dusit, the response, how these guys were neutralized, it tells you very clearly that after the Westgate attack, I think people heads rolled down, and police took guys to US for training, to Israel. We have very special squads that actually are trained on terrorism, and we've done a very good job as far as this thing is concerned. The only area that we've had a problem is down there, where these guys are now using IEDs to be able to blow up military vehicles and police vehicles. And I think the current PS and CS should also think about now what do we do about what is happening down there, because I think it's now become like an occurrence. Daily we see vehicles being blown up. Yeah.
You know, Jules, coming to you now in terms of just, you know, with benefit of hindsight now, it's 5 years since Dusit happened. What needs to be done more? Of course, we've talked about what the government is doing. Now, from a private security perspective, what more needs to be done?
Yeah, I think, as Enoch is rightfully saying, government has done a lot. There's a lot of cooperation, coordination, and a lot of it behind the screens, so people don't see. But I think what is an important further step is to create more and more awareness about the challenges that we are facing, creating this alertness. And this is where I think not only the private security companies can play a big role. We obviously are training our staff to create that awareness, to be alert, because a lot of things, always from hindsight, it's very easy to draw conclusions and to make a judgment even. There are quite a lot of lessons learned at Dusit. There were quite a lot of indications already what was going to happen if people would have been more alert to it. There was quite extraordinary movements, behavior. And this is something that obviously we are training our staff on. But this is also something that we should help the big audience, the broad audience, because everybody, everybody around can be much more alert by using, first of all, common sense, but small trainings, being alert. If you see a vehicle in front of your house that is never there before, and now suddenly every day it's standing there and people are inside the vehicle and you don't know what they are doing, that should trigger an alert. Say, hey, what's going on? And that's where I think that's what we can all work on. Another point for the private security companies is to be used. Quite a lot of people are scared to go to the authorities to report something for whatever reason. But that's where the private security companies can also play a role. You can, if you don't want to go to the police, you could go to, you know, one of the companies, and we will address it. We will coordinate because we have the contacts with the authorities one way or the other. So if there is something serious going on, we will be very easily and create that communication and create alertness. And I think to come back, government has actually, because of quite a lot of the signals, has done a lot to prevent many cases at least we are aware of. So,
I think if I may add, there are a lot of things that can be done in terms of raising the game up. The first one is emergency preparedness for organizations. I've personally been involved in training so many organizations on, like let's say KTN, and the standard media, where staff know, suppose there's a terror attack here, how they're supposed to evacuate, what are they supposed to do. I think that's one of the areas that we've been left behind. Very few organizations spend money on training on fire emergency preparedness, but not on terrorism. So when there's a problem, you'll find with so many casualties. So one area that we need to improve as a nation is every organization should take up a budget to be able to train their staff on emergency preparedness. Not necessarily in the organization, but even if you are outside, maybe you are in Nakuma, you are in Junction, you are away in any of the shopping centers and there's such an attack, what are you supposed to do? Then secondly, the issue of understanding, we call it situational awareness. Most Kenyans are very interesting. When they hear something has blown up, you'll find they are running towards where the explosion is. I think Kenyans need to be trained to understand that when there's such a problem, terrorists want to make sure that they make the first explosion. Then the second one is when they kill so many people. So I think we need to do a lot of awareness. I think there we've not been able. I know National Counterterrorism Center, one of the units that the government formed, we've been training with them. I think we trained security companies in December. We trained more than 200 security companies on the measures they need to put in place. Then the other issue that we need to work on is improving your physical security of organizations. You know, the government cannot come and improve your physical security of an organization. They cannot come and help you to put in CCTV cameras. They cannot come and help you to come and put in access control systems. There are things you as an organization must take the trouble to make sure that you make your organization more hard for any terrorist to be able to come in. But these are issues that touch on individual responsibility, not the government. The government will do the outer security, knowing what's happening on Mombasa Road, something like that. When it comes to physical security of these premises, it squarely settles on the security manager of this organization. So that means that he has to come up with very good measures that will be able to make this place more secure, staff feel secure, and they understand what they are supposed to do. Then the last one, the issue of intelligence. Yeah? I think intelligence has been a very critical element in countering terrorism. And we were doing this thing of community policing, where you would know your neighbor, what is he coming to do. Kenyans are a bit, we are not like Ugandans, we are not like Rwandans, where you don't want to know what your neighbor does. You don't care. I mean, so long as he has rented a house and is going out doing his own things, you don't care. Hi, that's it. You see. But now, if you get to a place like Uganda, because I was one of the people that were involved in helping Uganda to improve its counterterrorism measures, we were able to train churches, we were able to train bus stations, we were able to train, so that now what happened is that anybody coming to your premises, let me say your flat, first step, the caretaker will ask, you are coming to see you.
Right.
Yes, how long will you be around? And the information is passed on to something called LC5. The LC5 is like the normal headman who knows in this village there's so and so coming to stay for this time. So I think that's been a problem, because if you look at what happened at Dusit, the lady who was saying that he knew these guys in Kiambu, they were buying meat, they were very polite people. I mean, when you tell the government, I've been seeing these guys buying meat and you didn't pass on the information, I mean, you are as good as a person who is aiding what?
But how does the public then gain that trust and be able to actually convey that information without feeling like, okay, maybe I'll be held responsible? What kind of trust level would someone have to relay that information to the
Now,
company?
that's now another problem we need to work on, trust and legitimacy. That's another problem we need to work on. To members of the public trust police. Up to what level, what degree? Is somebody safe to go to police and give that information? So that's now where the problem, and I think we need to make sure that we work with police to make sure that we improve that trust between us and members of the public, so they are able to give information that is critical, because let me tell you, in terrorism, however small the information is, unless it's evaluated and found out it's true or not, you better find out and evaluate, and you save lives, as opposed to just taking it that way. So that's an area that I think we need to improve, so that members of the public can trust the police, that if I'm able to give my information where I stay, and I'm able to go and see the OCS and give him this information, I'm safe.
Sure.
Not that you give the information. Then from there now, the information now comes against you. So that now this guy knows, okay, this is the man who gave the information to police. Now to deal with you.
But that's where I think, you're absolutely right. I think we all have to work to gain that trust, but I think also that's where the private security companies can play a very big role. Let's face it, you're referring to Uganda. We as a company at SGA, we are in Tanzania, Uganda, we employ 20,000 people. And those employees, they live in other areas, so they have already a lot of information. And if you think about Kenya, where formally, informally, nobody has the exact number, but about 1 million staff are working in private security. That is a huge force, and it's quite easy to connect. To connect to a guard, say, listen, I heard something. Can you address this? Can you deal with it? To escalate it where need be. Sometimes even. We at SGA, we have, for instance, on the website, if you don't want to go directly and you want to be anonymous, you can, raise something, what happened in your neighborhood, without being afraid that I'm connecting to you or I'm connecting to you. So there are quite a lot of tools to communicate and to establish this trust. And even if the trust is still not there, there's still ways and means to tackle this, because you're absolutely right. It is really into the detail. Sometimes something very, people may not understand the context. You feel something is wrong, but you can't place it. You can't, and that's where it's important to raise it and to communicate. As I said, I think it is work in progress, working together, but the private security companies could play, are playing.
So are you also saying it's that the public, people trust private security more than the police? Do you think that's the case?
Yeah, well, of course, I have to be very careful to make that statement in general.
Right.
But I think where that is the case, then there is, you know, an easy way to deal with it. Because I think the main thing is that the public should not even think, do I trust you? Do I trust you? If you feel comfortable to go this way, let's offer, you know, different means of communication, so that at least people know where to go and how to go about it. That's more important than saying later on, like, let's be honest, what happened at Dusit?
Yeah.
We knew, there was something weird. We didn't tell, but we thought it was okay. But people, in reality, if they would have communicated, it could have...
Maybe things would have been different.
Yeah.
Let's talk about now technology, the role of technology in terms of just enhancing security and safety in the country. Maybe we can start with you, Jules. Are we doing anything better? Are we stepping up in terms of technology?
Yeah, for sure. Technology is advancing, and there's a lot of technology now provided. Think about the access controls, think about CCTV cameras. But for instance, the access controls, we had the fingerprints, now we have face recognition. There are even now further controls like hand palm, which is even more sophisticated. But think also about the digital CCTV cameras. You can program, you creating alerts in the system, because can you imagine, I'm looking at a big screen with 10 monitors, and you have to see what's going on everywhere. But the moment you are programming certain persons based on face recognition, you know certain people don't belong there, they are authorized, they are not authorized, that creates alerts. And that is introduced now a lot. We use it with our clients quite often. And for instance, another view of the market, we introduced a new home system, which is a security system, which is based on internet, it's wireless, it is the highest standards. You can indeed have the cameras in, creating indeed the alerts. And so technology is a very important thing. It's, you know, there are so many developments, not only on the hardware, but as I said, also on the software. And that's what government is using as well. They are using a lot of cameras, a lot of systems. But I think about AI, that is something to be applied as well. So I think it's going to play an even more important role. But today we have the means to do much more. So that is something that the market should be aware of. So we should definitely not sit and lean back, but you know, apply technology.
If I may just comment something on technology, I think there's something that people have not known, but it's good public know that if you are putting up a CCTV control room and like you see what is happening here, you can be able to set up this control room elsewhere, so that suppose KTN is attacked, you can be able to, you are in GM and you can see what is happening here. And that really assisted the Dusit attack in terms of neutralizing these people, and the IG was able to give a command that now these guys are neutralized. Why? Because you could be able to see where they are, which location they are, so that when the SWAT team comes in, they're able to know the first one is on first floor, second floor, and they were able to neutralize these people. Unlike what happened at Westgate, where these guys could not be known where they are, and the whole thing went on days and days and days. So there's a lot of improvement in technology. You've seen the fixing of the cameras on the roads, so that if anything happens, you can see this vehicle on this particular road, you can see it on this particular road, and the police can be able to take action. Technically, we can say there's a lot of space as far as technology is concerned. So what just organizations must do is to invest more on technology to make sure that they make the organizations more stronger, more and taken hardened. When a terrorist wants to come over, I think he will think twice, because these guys have ways they normally evaluate their risk. to be able to know if we attack this organization, what are the chances of killing people, how many people are we going to kill, and what are the chances of us running away.
But I'm curious though, just quickly to go back, because I know you mentioned also the IED attacks that happen in areas like the northeastern areas.
Yes.
Do you think the technology is there in that particular area? Has the government invested in making sure that technology is upped from that area, for instance, away from like the urban setting?
You know, the problem here is the vehicles that are being used. I can say there was Godagama, we're being overtaken by events. I think there are organizations that can be able to sell as armored vehicles that can withstand IEDs. We can be able to know where these IEDs are placed on roads, and where I think we can be able to become something of past tense. The only problem is now the procurement department in office of the president to be able to make sure that when they are procuring armored vehicles, these are vehicles that can be able to withstand IEDs along the coast. Otherwise, the current vehicles that are being used, that a vehicle is blown up and it is completely blown up, I think the government should think twice so that we get these things and we forget about the issues of IEDs.
Right.
Yeah, but you could also, I think, Dieter, we were referring to technology. It's in the past, a lot of security was reactive. So you see something and you react. And I think prevention is very, very key. Technology can help to prevent, as Enoch is saying rightfully, yeah, if somebody knows the place is all over with security equipment, you think twice, should I go there, should I go elsewhere? And the other thing is, as you mentioned, I think the use of drones, for instance. If you can't have the visibility on the ground or on the road, use a drone. And nowadays, also that is a technology. Actually, it becomes more and more sophisticated. But you can use a lot of technology also there, for all these incidents. And again, the most important thing is to prevent. And then if something happens, you have at least the means to deal with it. The cameras, you can use a lot of that technology to support you one way or the other.
Right, I want us to continue with that conversation after the break. Let's just take a short commercial break here on News Center. We'll still be talking about the state of security 5 years on since the Dusit attack happened. Don't go too far.